Hi, this is another edition of Stuart Dahl Show, starring myself, Stuart Dahl. I'm coming to you live from my, I guess you could say, my man cave, right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, where the current temperature is 16 degrees and it's going to get to a high of 24 in Winnipeg today, which is going to make for good beach weather. So let's just get right into my show. Today, on August 6th, this is a special edition of my show. I'm going to be talking a bit about, World War II, in this episode of my show, the Stuart Dahl Show, because for you people that do not know your history, World War II was the most terrible conflict in human history, because millions and millions of people died in World War II. Like, in any country's military, but not only that, civilians and that. And like I said, this is, leading up, to, the Japanese attack and stuff like that. Basically, for you people that know, World War II started basically with the German invasion of Poland on September 1st, 1939, by the infamous Wehrmacht, which was basically the armed forces of Nazi Germany. The Germans used a type of warfare that has never been seen in history called Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg, which was lightning fast warfare, basically, overwhelming speed and power, and basically that was the key motto of the Wehrmacht, the German Wehrmacht, in the early years of World War II, from like 1939 to basically when Germany had conquered Poland, and they've conquered other countries in Western Europe such as Belgium, Holland, like the Holland, Netherlands, same thing. Germany had also conquered France, and the brainchild, because of that plan, which led to the downfall of France, was German General Erich von Manstein, who, if you guys don't know your history, Erich von Manstein was a general in the Wehrmacht during World War II, and Erich von Manstein was the brainchild behind the first German assault gun called the Stuck 3, which was basically an assault gun which was basically on a tank chassis, and the Stuck 3 had a short 75mm cannon, which basically acted as infantry support to the German infantry, and that when they're attacking certain fortifications, and then like I said, Germany had conquered sway. Basically they had all of Western Europe in their hands because they conquered Poland, France, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, and that. Like, they had, like, literally, Germany had all of Western Europe in those early years of the war under their control, and then unfortunately, because it was the British Expeditionary Force, in the early years, like I think it was May of 1940, were basically getting squeezed back to the French port of Dunkirk, which eventually they had hopped on, any sort of boat they could, and even destroyers, and went back to England, across the English Channel to practically the cliffs of Dover, and that. So that was quite humiliating for the British. But as the war dragged on, and that eventually, like, Adolf Hitler soon realized that he could not defeat Britain. He could not defeat Britain. Like, he could not defeat them from the air. So the Battle of Britain was over and done with. So Adolf Hitler turned his attention to his supposed ally, Joseph Stalin. The reason why I say that, because in 1939, the German Foreign Affairs Minister, Rick von Ribbentrop, and the Soviet Foreign Affairs Minister, Molotov, signed the Germanic Soviet non-aggression pact, which, you knew that wasn't going to last long, and it didn't last long, because on June 22nd, 1941, Germany made its long-awaited invasion of the Soviet Union with 3 million troops of the infamous German Wehrmacht, basically the German armed forces in World War II. And basically, the Germans advanced about 500 kilometers deep inside the Soviet Union. But it seemed like, as, Operation Barbarossa dragged on, and eventually, Germany was defeated at the Battle of Stalingrad, and this is, coming in, I'm gonna, lead in, to, the 70th anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but, basically, Germany had to basically, with Japan and Italy at the time, basically, they formed the so-called Axis powers. Basically, Germany wanted to conquer all of Europe, and basically, and then Mussolini and his I guess you could say his fascist government in Italy wanted to conquer the Mediterranean. And then on the other hand, you have Japan that wanted to conquer the entire Pacific. And the only thing that was standing in Japan's way of conquering the entire Pacific was the United States naval fleet at Pearl Harbor. That was the only thing. So, yeah, and then, like I said, that eventually led to, and then at this time, the United States was a neutral country. Like, they weren't involved in World War II yet, but until December 7th, 1941, that the United States was, eventually, and suddenly attacked by the naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan, which basically led to the United States entry into World War II, and Japan's going like, the Japanese government's going like, ah, shit, we have just awoken the sleeping giant, and they did, because the United States, not only in that, they conquered, certain Japanese territory now, like, islands in, like, the Gilbert Islands, the Marshall Islands, and then there was, I think, probably two of the most brutal battles in the Pacific that kind of led to, the eventual use of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, were the two most brutal battles in the Pacific, war in the Pacific, were the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. They basically Okinawa, if people don't know your geography, the island of Okinawa and Iwo Jima lie right close to the Japanese mainland in that. So basically, the Japanese had a inner ring of defense around the home islands in case of an invasion or air attack or whatever. And so basically, long story short, the United States conquered most Japanese territory, and then the Americans, in order, basically, before they could drop the atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki 70 years ago, they had to test these atom bombs first, and they were successful. So, like I said, 70 years, and now I'm going to lead into it. 70 years ago, on August 6, 1945, the United States, the pilots of a B-29 Superfortress bomber named the Enola Gay came over the city of Hiroshima, and at about 8:15 a.m. Japanese local time, 70 years ago, the United States dropped the most terrible weapon ever used against an army in human history, and that so unfortunately thousands of people died in the atomic bombing in Hiroshima, and then like I said, and then about 74,000 more people died in 3 days later in the bombing of Nagasaki, which occurred 70 years ago today. Anyway, so like today, you know, like on August 6th, like on Thursday, and even today, like these 2 days are, you know, to remember the victims of the most horrible use of a nuclear weapon in modern history. And the United States were the first country in history to use to launch a nuclear bombing of an enemy. The United States were the first country to do that in history. And then, like I said, and then when the United States entered World War II, because of the Japanese attack on December 7th, 1941, then on December 11th, 1941, several days later, after after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States declaration of war against the Japanese Empire, Nazi Germany declared war on the United States in response to what was a claim of series of provocations of the United States government, which basically, long story short, led to the decision of you know, the use of which basically led to, you know, Nazi Germany declaring war on Germany because Germany was an ally of Japan, so Hitler and Nazi Germany were obligated to, you know, defend, you know, their ally Japan. So by declaring war on the United States on December 11th, 1941, you know, they just did that. What else? With me, I have some favorite German a few favorite German commanders of World War II. One of my favorites is the commander of the first SS Panzer Division Leibstandarte, and his name was Joachim Peiper. For you people that do not know your history, Joachim Peiper was a field officer within the Waffen-SS during World War II, and Peiper had fought both on the Eastern Front against the Red Army and on the Western Front against the Western Allies. And he'd won the Knight's Cross with the Iron Cross with oak leaves and swords for extreme battlefield bravery and outstanding military leadership. And here's the thing about Joachim Peiper, like he was convicted of war crimes that were committed in Belgium, and he was imprisoned he served a 12-year prison term, but he was accused, and he was also accused of war crimes in Italy, but the Italian and German courts concluded that there was insufficient evidence for a warrant prosecution. And then after Peiper's release from prison, before his his death on July 14th, 1976, he worked for both Porsche and Volkswagen before moving to France, where he translated books from English to German. Piper was murdered in France in July of 1976 when he was shot by unknown assailants who then burned his house to the ground by using Molotov cocktails. Like, you know, like I understand, you know, some people, you know, may still have resentment towards Germany and that, you know, because of Germany's war crimes and that, but here's the thing. Germany is not a bad country. Even though the bad people within the Nazi government in World War II were guys like Adolf Hitler, Heinrich Himmler, Reinhard Heydrich, any powerful high, you know, level official within the Nazi government, and that. And some of these top Nazi leaders were actually executed, like, for example, Wilhelm Keitel, who was Hitler's chief of staff during the whole 6 years of World War II. And that, so yeah. So like I said, what led to the eventual, you know, atomic bombings of Japan was the U.S. declaring war on Japan the day after by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and then, like I said, several days later, on December 11th, 1941, Germany had declared war on the United States because Germany was an ally of Japan, so Germany was obligated to defend their allies, Japan. And what else? I also have two other favorite. I have personally my favorite German commanders of World War II. Actually, I have four favorites. Mine go as follows: the Desert Fox, the infamous Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. Joachim Piper, who was like I said, that tank commander within the Waffen SS back in World War II, and that. And no, I don't support, for you people, and that I do not support the Waffen SS. Because of the crimes that they committed. But you have to admit that the Waffen SS were an elite fighting unit within the German army in World War II, and were the most feared because of their brutal capabilities. And that, what else? And then, like I said, my favorite German commanders were, Joachim Piper, Erich von Manstein, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, and then a World War II vet, a German World War II vet that died a while back, Otto Kraus. And what else? Other than that, what else? I guess you could say, to kind of end off my show, unfortunately the Rough Riders suffered their 7th loss of the season. Like, come on, you guys! Like, really? That's basically all I have to say. Yeah. Today is a day that people all over the world should remember those victims of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which occurred on August 7th, 1945, and today, August 9th, 1945, 70 years ago. And that's so, I think for you people, you should, maybe try to take, a moment of silence, and remember those victims of the most terrible use of a nuclear weapon in history. And that. So yeah, this is another edition of the Stuart Dahl show. I am now signing off for now. For you young people, stay in school, stay out of trouble. You'll do fine. And for now, I'll be the same. Peace, bye bye, and stay cool, my friends.